Tonight we're going to be talking about the problem that I'm facing here on YouTube. It's been more than 6 years that I've been posting regularly here on YouTube. And I have been facing, in some ways, the same problem that I'm facing now. And I want to talk more about that problem. The problem is that I'm trying to share or impact people with a lesson that I'm learning. And as I've tried to jump into that and do that, it's really hit me in the face that it's hard to teach something that you either don't know, or it's maybe still hard but not a good idea to teach something that you aren't living. And I am facing that struggle. Hearing God has changed my life. It is how we live our lives, but we're still learning how to do it. We're still wrestling with how to do it. Some of the vlogs, I've been sharing kind of my struggle, and we're never complete. We're never going to fully get what God has for us. And we can't wait until we fully have it to say yes to Him and let Him use us. And I'm not going to stop posting on YouTube. I'm not going to stop talking about hearing God. But I'm facing this problem again. And it's really this problem of how you approach YouTube. Are you approaching it as a person who's on a journey, or are you approaching it as an expert? And the reality is that we all want to hear from the expert. I like watching channels from experts. Lawyer reacts to this celebrity court case. I want to hear from the expert. And in a lot of ways, I feel like I've got authority to speak on these topics because I've lived it. And in some ways, I've been hearing God and obeying God for the last 10 years. And I'm never going to be fully an expert on it, but this channel has always kind of embraced this reality of going on the journey. And you guys are on the journey with me. And I know a lot of you guys understand that and get that. But I'm facing this problem where I'm realizing that what I really want to share here on YouTube is what I really need in my own life, which makes it a good journey, makes it a good story. But it also kind of pulls me apart. And I just spent some time with one of my mentors, Joel McGill, in California. And this became clear to me hanging out with him. He was teaching there on the DTS. And while we were there, I got to hear his full teaching. And I realized he is, in a lot of ways, an expert on hearing God. He's been living it and living it the same way he teaches it for the last 20 years. And he actually lives it. He doesn't just live it in some categories of his life. He's actually surrendered in every category of his life. He's walking with the Lord, with his wife and his kids. They listen to the Lord together. They surrender and they obey the Lord. And are they perfect? Sure, they're not perfect, but they are wrestling out this in just an incredible way. And they've been doing it for over a decade, 2 decades. Obviously, they've been growing along the way, but listening to him, he has authority to teach on this. He's good at teaching it because he lives it. And even spending time with him, I realized I had some specific questions for him, some points that I've been wrestling with, and he had clear answers for me. And it really unlocked some stuff in me that was super helpful. And it kind of gave me clarity to be like, okay, I think I have the right track here, and that is hearing God is the way to order your life. It's the way to bring value to your life. It's the way to bring peace to your life. It's the way to connect with God. But I'm still wrestling out how to do that. And there are things I know, things I've experienced, things that I see in Scripture. But there are also things that I'm still learning, or that I don't know, or that I'm not doing at all. And that's okay. That's where God has me on this journey. And again, I'm going to keep posting here on YouTube. But I am going to have to sort of shift a little bit and embrace, in a lot of ways, just partnering with Joel. Joel is here on YouTube as well. God's been leading him to start a YouTube channel. And I've actually been helping film and edit his YouTube videos. And as I make videos with him, I realize he actually can answer these questions. He can engage this topic on a level that I can't. And why am I sharing this? What is this conversation here about tonight? I really want just to be open and transparent with you guys as I continue on this journey and as I begin to wrestle through this in my own life with Joel. I want to invite you guys to follow Joel. I think our conversation together, both offline in real life and online, is going to be super impactful, and I want to encourage you to go follow him. He is living this, he is teaching this, but he's just getting started on YouTube, and that is kind of this weird combination. He's been doing that for hearing God, obeying God for a lot longer than me. I've been here on YouTube longer than him. And this is kind of the area that I feel like the Lord's drawing me into, is helping people who have really impactful content, helping them get that content online. And what is this? What do I mean by this? What does this look like? Well, I think a lot of Christian teachers today aren't actually taking you anywhere. Their teaching isn't transformative. They might be teaching the Bible. They might be teaching interesting or true concepts from the scriptures, but it doesn't mean that the way that they teach you actually changes you from who you are today into a different person. And I don't mean that to say that maybe that content doesn't have any value, but to say I'm very interested in becoming like Jesus and change. This channel is all about hearing God, obeying God, but it's all about all in for Jesus. If you're all in for Jesus, then you need to change. God's going to lead you to change, and he's going to take you on a journey. And the reality of God's will for your life is, again, to become like Jesus. So that's going to require a whole lot of change, a constant journey of change. Many of us claim to fully live for God, but the reality of our lives is that we're not faithful. We're not walking with the Lord in our actions. We might have the right knowledge, but we don't have the right thinking. And that is what I'm after, is how do I have the right thinking? How do I have the right actions, the right life before God? And the reality that I'm coming back to again and again on this channel is that it is hearing God that brings us to that point. That our knowledge, our study of scripture, our seminary degrees or engagement in ministries, that in the end, if we're putting the weight of our life on what makes sense to us, on what we can figure out, on what we can sort through, on a really great strategy, in the end, we're still relying on ourselves. We're still trusting our own thinking. Even the way we look at the Bible, the Pharisees were trusting their own thinking when they looked at the scriptures. I don't believe we can logically work through the scriptures. We actually need the Spirit to illuminate to us the scriptures. This is kind of what I've been talking about here on this channel. And I'm learning this and jumping in with you guys, but it really comes back to this hearing God reality. It's revelation. It's God opening our eyes. And I'm realizing how much my head is in the past still, how I still operate in a religious way, and how much I still try and hear God and then pull it back and make a religion out of it, make a practice out of it. And just being with Joel, hanging out with him, I realized there's a way to just walk with the Lord and listen to him every day. Talk to him about every aspect of your relationship with him, of your life, of your relationship with others. And that is what I want to live, and it's what I want to share here on YouTube. And that is the transformative journey. I like to think of this as like if you were, at point A, I'm here in Kansas City, and you were going to point B, let's say California. To get from A to B, you've got to move. You've got to change locations. There's a journey that's involved there. And I think that there are Christian teachers who are basically just circling or kind of going in and out of the neighborhood or whatever, but they're not actually taking you somewhere. They're not actually bringing transformation to your life. And it's not to say that they're going to be the ones that actually transform your life. You have to respond. You have to say yes to God. You can listen to teaching all day long and go nowhere, even if that teaching is taking you somewhere. But I believe a lot of teaching doesn't actually take us places. But there are teachers that are teaching us transformative content, transformative teaching. I believe Joel's one of those. Listening to him talk on Hearing God, I was like, man, this guy knows how to teach this content in a way that helps someone go from thinking, I don't know if I can hear God speak, to like, wow, I know that was God and he is speaking to me clearly, and I can tell the difference between the enemy, me, and God. He can actually help you go on that journey because he's gone on the journey, because he's actually reached the destination in many ways. And so he can look back and say, here's how you go. And I think where God's leading me in ministry, and this is bigger than my YouTube channel, is I think he's leading me to take people that know how to do that transforming content in person, in a school, in a church setting, in a mission setting, that know how to do that in person, and helping them understand how to do that online. You see, in person, a lot of people are talking like the church, typical church setting. It's a captive audience reality. Obviously, you can choose not to come back to that church, but most people don't get up in the middle of church and leave. Maybe you might if something you think is heretical, but you're not going to leave because the content isn't transformative or because it's not engaging. That would just be too rude, and you're kind of committed. You're there, you're just going to sit it out. Maybe you might not come back to that church. But the reality of online is I got this phone in my hand and I can scroll. If I'm not finding what you're saying interesting, I scroll on to the next thing. So this is a different experience than that in-person, in-the-room experience. Some have referred to this as a lean-back experience. That's kind of like you put on a TV show and you're not actively thinking, I'm going to switch the channel. You've decided, I'm going to try this show out, or I'm going to try this movie out. That's the kind of experience you have in a church, a lean-back experience. And you're going to give it a shot. You're going to give this TV show or the sermon a full hour and see if you like it or not. That kind of experience, you're sort of trusting the process and you're willing to wait for a payoff. That's very different than the lean-in experience where you're thinking, I'm going to change this if it's not immediately engaging. I'm going to swipe, or I'm going to click off, or I'm going to go to another video if this doesn't capture my attention and keep my attention. And this is the reality that we're all operating on here on YouTube. I'm trying to figure out, how do I make this video as engaging as I can so that you don't click off of it? That is the experience of creating content online in a lean-in experience. And most pastors, they're just not used to it. Most teachers in Christian contexts, schools, they're not used to it. They're thinking, I've got an hour, or I've got a week, or I've got a whole month or a whole year to get to my point, to help you go somewhere. And for some of those teachers, again, they actually lead you to a valuable, transformative destination. And the reality is, when those transformative teachers get online and begin to share what they're doing online, their expert opinion never comes out because they're doing relational. That's what you do in a live setting. You connect with people. Let me tell you my story. Let me tell you how I'm doing today. Let me share a little interesting thought or a joke. Let me ask you guys how you're feeling, what's going on. If you do that on YouTube, you get somebody clicking off of you right away. And I think that's a shame, but it's the reality. It's the way that this space operates. And so those teachers that have transformative content, they have to figure out, how do I reorient my content to engage people immediately? How do I take the value that I'm offering, the transformation that I'm offering, and put it out front? Make it apparent in my title, in my thumbnail, in my content. That's what I feel like God is pushing me towards. I love transformative content and I love YouTube, and I am interested in helping take really powerful concepts and make them engaging online. Again, this brings me back to the point of being stretched by the reality that I'm still being transformed in many ways. I'm still learning, I'm still growing and getting into things. And that's a problem, because I wish I could give you guys that expert opinion or that content that transforms you, brings you to that destination, but I'm just not there yet. And I'm going to start to partner with others that are more so there. And God's been leading me to connect with Joel. And so I'm going to be connecting more and more with him and pushing you guys more and more to him for transformative content. I'm about to finish a Hearing God course from him, an updated version. We filmed the first one. It's live right now on YouTube. We're working on it to make it more engaging, more transformative. That's going to be live soon. There's a freedom course that I helped him film. He had the content for it, that has changed my life and has been helping me so much. And if you're struggling with sin, I highly suggest it. Go check it out. But what does this mean for my channel? How's this going to affect the content you see on here? I'm going to still post vlogs. I'm still post lives. I'm going to still post my thoughts and my reflections on stuff. There are some things that I can talk more authoritatively about, like, for example, how to pick a YWAM location. I'm going to talk more about missions and how to jump into missions. If you have questions there, let me know. But I'm also going to be pushing more and more towards Joel's content. And the way that I'm going to do that, I'm just going to unpack that for you. I've been talking about Discord here on my channel. And I've been going live on Discord now for a couple of months. And I haven't had anyone show up on Discord, which is totally cool. I'm not worried about it. I'm trying to obey the Lord. And as long as I'm obeying the Lord, then we're good. But I feel like the Lord's leading me to help build a community here online of people that are saying, my life, I'm all in for Jesus in my heart, but my life isn't there. And I want to go somewhere different. I want to get to a better place. I don't want to be stuck in legalism. I don't want to be confused. I don't want to feel like I'm doing circles. I'm tired of feeling like my life isn't actually changing and growing. I want to help build a community where we can see transformation happen together. We can learn how to hear God speak together. We can get free together. And that's my heart on Discord. I feel like God was sharing with me recently the idea of doing freedom sessions on Discord, helping walk people through freedom. And I would love to see people set free and people learn how to hear God speak. And I'm going to continue to lean into that space. And I would love to help you out. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, I don't know if I can hear God speak, or I don't know if God even does speak, but I'd be interested in trying. I put together a form. I'll link it in this video, and you can sign up and we can do, a hearing God session together on Discord, or we can do a freedom session together on Discord. I want to help build that community there, and I'm working with Joel to build a bigger community even within his content. How do we see digital discipleship happen? How do we see life change happen online? That's what I'm interested in. That's what I'm excited about. And that's going to look like working with Joel. That's going to look like me pointing you guys towards his content more and more, because I really feel like what he's teaching is what I truly want to teach, what I want you guys to grasp. So that's the breakdown of my YouTube channel. And I'm really wanting to hear from you guys, from the community here. Why are you watching this channel? What are you getting from these videos? If you made it to the end of this video, you're 15 minutes in, what is it that you come here for? What is it you're looking for? Are you interested in the Hearing God content or more of the missions content? I would love to hear more from you guys, but I'm going to jump over to Discord after this. If you haven't checked out my Discord yet, there's a link in the description. Come over and let's continue the conversation on Discord. We can talk together. No pressure on that.